Okay, let's dive into this because I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning, looking around your room, and suddenly realizing that the ceiling on your mind has completely vanished. No cap on your memory, literally no barrier on your intelligence, no limits on your creativity. Every single thing you have ever learned is just instantly accessible, and anything new you look at makes perfect, immediate sense. In this explainer, we are exploring a deeply fascinating scenario from our source material. What if humanity unlocked the absolute, limitless power of the brain? It's a concept that would completely rewrite the future of our entire species. So, what if you never forgot anything again? I want to ground this massive, kind of abstract concept in our actual reality. Think about your daily life. Think about the sheer frustration of forgetting someone's name seconds after meeting them, or blanking out during a crucial exam, or simply losing your train of thought right in the middle of a meeting. We spend so much of our lives just desperately trying to hold on to information. If your brain had no limits, that mental fog, that constant leak of data we all deal with, would disappear completely. You could read a book once and just know it forever. Section 1. The Limitless Awakening. So how does a shift like this actually begin? Well, it wouldn't start with a dramatic flash of light in the sky. As the source material outlines, this would likely start really quietly, as a small discovery in a laboratory. Maybe a new signal, a breakthrough treatment, or some hidden method. In fact, scientists probably wouldn't even believe it at first. You know how it is when a discovery sounds too big to be true, our first instinct is to just assume it's a measuring error. But then the results would repeat. Memory scores would skyrocket, fatigue would completely vanish, the awakening would become undeniable. People would soon realize that the human brain was actually always this powerful, but it was purposefully kept under control by evolution, the environment, and our own bodies simply to prioritize basic survival. So we aren't talking about plugging a microchip into your head to make you a slightly smarter version of who you are today. Unlocking these biological constraints would create an entirely different kind of mind altogether. Section 2. Redefining Human Genius. And this brilliantly illustrates a complete societal shift in how we actually view intellect. Today, we reserve the word genius for those incredibly rare individuals who just stand head and shoulders above the average. But in a world without cognitive limits, that baseline fundamentally changes. The average everyday person would instantly become what we currently call a genius. We wouldn't just have one or two brilliant minds pushing society forward. The entire human population would rise together in a synchronized leap of cognitive evolution. And in this leap, the agonizing friction of human progress completely disappears. Learning a language goes from years of frustrating repetition to a few hours of easy absorption. The default mental state shifts from a baseline of brain fog to perfect, piercing clarity. Problems that would take teams of scientists years to untangle today would be solved in seconds. The pain of learning is entirely removed. So the crucial point here is that when the struggle to acquire knowledge vanishes, our entire perspective flips. Humans would no longer look at a complex subject and ask, can I learn this? Am I smart enough? That question literally becomes irrelevant. Instead, the only question left is, what will I build with what I know? We move from a species obsessed with gathering information to a species entirely focused on the pure joy of creation. The ultimate bottleneck of human potential is finally shattered. Section 3. The Dark Side of Memory. But a brain without limits doesn't just mean limitless joy, it also means limitless consequences. If the ceiling is removed from our intellect, it's also removed from our emotional capacity. And this is where the utopian dream we've been building starts to cast a very long, very dark shadow. We have to confront what it actually means to hold on to absolutely everything. They say sometimes forgetting is mercy. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Imagine having a perfect memory. You don't just remember every book you've read, you remember every insult, every failure, every trauma, and every betrayal in absolute, crystal clear, high definition, forever. Time would no longer heal all wounds, because the memory of the wound would never degrade. You could become incredibly wise, sure, or you could be entirely paralyzed by the weight of your own past. It becomes a terrifying balancing act. On one side, you have magnified intelligence, absolute focus, and joy. But on the other, magnified pain, fear, and regret. Every single emotion is amplified to an extreme degree. To survive a limitless mind, a human being would require an unprecedented level of emotional resilience. A mind that can remember everything has to somehow find a way to survive everything it remembers. The brain becomes a magnifier, not just a tool. And beneath that immense emotional weight lies a very strange, very quiet tragedy, profound loneliness. See, if you understand too much, too quickly, you become incredibly detached. Imagine trying to have a conversation when it feels like everything is moving in slow motion, where social interactions are entirely predictable and you can clearly see people's hidden motives before they even speak. The very power that makes you exceptional would violently separate you from ordinary human experience, stripping away the beautiful, shared human struggle of surprise and discovery. Section 4. A divided new world. That separation on an individual level would very quickly spill over into the global arena. The source material points out a fascinating but terrifying dynamic. The greatest danger to civilization isn't actually human stupidity, it's human purpose. When ambition becomes limitless and persuasion becomes a near-perfect art form, a person with an extraordinary intellect but absolutely zero moral grounding becomes the most dangerous weapon on Earth. Which leads us to a terrifying societal timeline. Step 1. Early access is inevitably restricted to the wealthy and powerful. Step 2. Nations and corporations panic, sparking a desperate, invisible cognitive arms race. Step 3. We see the ultimate fracture of humanity. Society splits into two entirely different biological classes. We aren't just talking about wealth inequality anymore. We are talking about inequality of intelligence, strategy, and power at the deepest foundational level of existence. Let's move to and see how this builds into the very fabric of our daily lives. The economy wouldn't just grow, it would severely mutate. Data analysis becomes instantaneous. Medicine cures previously mysterious diseases. Law, finance, architecture, all completely reinvented by minds calculating faster than machines. But the most dangerous shift? Propaganda. Because in this new world, the most valuable asset isn't money or oil, it is the mind, and the ability to manipulate the unenhanced mind would be weaponized. Section 5. The ultimate human limit. Alongside this massive risk of dystopia, there is an incredible existential awakening. If the brain is fully unlocked, our philosophical understanding of reality shifts. Mathematics, nature, life, and consciousness might suddenly make perfect sense. The universe would no longer be perceived as a random collection of fragments, but as one beautifully connected system. Science, art, and spirituality would merge into a single, profound conversation about our place in the cosmos. Because of this, human culture would experience an artistic explosion unlike anything in history. Imagine symphonies composed to perfectly mirror the movement of galaxies, or buildings designed to literally feel alive. But here's the catch. Creativity without restraint quickly becomes pure chaos. If you can think of 1,000 brilliant inventions before breakfast, how do you choose? Abundance becomes just as overwhelming as scarcity. You wouldn't just need ideas, you would desperately need the discipline to choose among them. And that brings us to the core thesis of this entire scenario. In a world where the mind can do absolutely anything, the soul becomes the only real limit. Intellect alone cannot guarantee kindness. A limitless brain can solve complex equations and build vast empires, but it cannot automatically choose virtue. The survival of a limitless humanity wouldn't depend on how smart we get, it would depend entirely on our character, our ethics, and our compassion. So we arrive at the final, haunting tension of this explainer. The miracle isn't just having a limitless brain. It's having the limitless responsibility to guide it. Humanity doesn't just need more intelligence, we need the wisdom to use the intelligence we already possess. So, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. If your mind could hold anything, solve anything, and learn absolutely anything tomorrow, what would be the very first thing you would use that power for? Take a second and really think about it, because your answer tells you everything you need to know about the future we would build.